Welcome back, everybody. Good evening. We're back with another episode of Ahsoka Breakdown. We've got episode 6 for you today. Our recap, our predictions, our theories, whole lot of stuff after this. I mean, Jared, what a great episode that we had this week. And it's good because it's one of those episodes where it's not good because of how action packed it is. It's good because of the actual pure content that we're getting. And that's just great. And that's what we love to see as Star Wars fans, especially these days when we feel a little deprived of good quality content. And I'm so excited to talk about this. I'm really excited for the next two episodes. I think they're going to be great. But we've got a lot to talk about today. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Jared, give me your general thoughts on this episode 6.
I thought this was a fantastic episode. I mean, they really gave us, they gave it to us. They gave us everything. Not everything, but a
Yeah,
lot,
a lot.
you know? Um, Seeing Thrawn's army, I mean, visually, they look amazing. They have one of the coolest aesthetics in Star Wars, next
Yeah,
to
and,
like
and
the
I
clone
think
troopers.
it's paying homage to the whole dead, like the Stormtrooper zombie like comics that were out there for a while.
Yeah, Project
I'm guessing that's
Blackwing.
what it was paying homage to that.
So I thought that was fantastic. I thought like that, what I was like a Roman general masked dude. That
Yeah,
looked really
Enoch.
cool. Really cool. The Night Sisters were pretty rad. I didn't think we'd be seeing a whole lot of those. I
No,
was
I was
actually
surprised, but it's a pleasant surprise nonetheless.
definitely. I'd like to see if they have another role to serve past just saying, "Hey, it's the Night Sisters." I hope they do.
I'm pretty sure that because
Yeah,
we see him ask for another favor, so I'm guessing that there's something working in there.
yeah. Hopefully we get some good stuff out of them. Let's see. Not a whole lot of actual Ahsoka-y stuff this episode, but I'm okay
No,
with
second
that.
episode in a row.
Um, this It was a bit of a slower episode. We flew into the planet. They showed us all of Thrawn's business, which I thought was pretty cool. And I think that army is called like the Army of the Night or something
Yeah,
really cool
I
like
think
that.
so. Yeah.
But I'm really digging those guys. Um, I'm a little, I don't want to say confused, but I guess that's the word I'll use for now. Maybe a little surprised when I saw that man, what's his name? Balin doesn't fully intend on keeping his deal with Sabine. I mean, she
Even
still
though,
got to ride off,
well,
but
she kind of did though. Like I mean, he in the end, the deal seemed fulfilled, right? She gets reunited. He gets whatever. He gets the map. So
yeah, but I mean, it does look like he's gonna like immediately try and kill them.
yeah, yeah, probably.
So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Um, Aside from that, I mean, there was some really cute stuff with those little dressed up pebble dudes. That was
Yeah,
great.
little crab
And
people.
then, yeah, and then Ezra Bridger at the very end. Wow.
Finally.
Wow.
I know me and you talked a little bit about that off camera, just what we thought of the appearance and everything. I don't know. I mean, I'm still like jury's out for me. Not that I was disappointed by any means. Ezra's been one of my favorite characters, and I'm super excited that we finally get to see him in live action. I just wasn't sure because I guess there really is no real way to portray him. Like we don't have anything to base it off of. So in the end of the day, I'm good with the portrayal. I don't know. It just felt iffy to me at first, but I think I would have felt that way about any portrayal. Honestly, what did you think of his appearance? Like just his live action appearance?
So I think, I'm for the audience out there, I'm working my way through Rebels right now. I'm in season two. It's like the only part of Star Wars I haven't seen, so it's about time I
Season two
get.
might be the best season. Also, by the way, two or
Is that
four. It's a
right?
toss up between two and four.
We'll definitely have a word about this whenever we finish. But
Yeah,
visually, I mean, he looked fine to me. I have a feeling they're gonna do that thing they do with like when you get like the old, master or like the old character and they have like a full face of beard and like
I guess. Yeah,
long hair, and then it's like, oh, I gotta lock in. They shave it all off for
right.
the big
Most okay. Yeah, I could
confrontation.
see that. That's
Yeah. Because they know we want to see, you know, Ezra, not like crusted Ezra. So I'm sure we'll get it. If not, whatever, it's still Ezra. His dialogue, man, listening to him, it felt like they just pulled him right out of Rebels and threw him into live action. It
which I
just
think is
it
good. That's what we were all
Yeah,
looking for at the end of
absolutely.
the day.
Sounded so much like him, you know. It sounded like things he would say. He had a nice banter with Sabine. I enjoyed it a lot. So those are
It'll
my
certainly
thoughts.
be interesting to see like his interactions with Sabine at the beginning of episode 7 because he doesn't know any of the bad stuff, right? He thinks they came alone. He doesn't know about the Night Sisters. Maybe he does know about Night Sisters, but he doesn't know Ahsoka's here. He doesn't know that like this is all a plan for Thrawn to get back. Like he doesn't know about Balin and Shin Hati. So there's a whole bunch of factors at play that he doesn't really know about yet. He's only in his mind. He's thinking, "Oh my gosh, like Hera, Sabine, um, and Ahsoka like all came to save me, yippee, and nothing else." So it'll be interesting to see how the dialogue goes when he's finding out all the bad things and whatnot. So I am looking forward to that. It's probably going to be one of my favorite parts um, of the next episode, and seeing his reaction. Like I've seen a lot of theories bounce around surrounding Ezra specifically. Some of them hold weight, some of them just seem far fetched. But I'm interested to see now that we've been introduced to the character, where do they take him? Right? Is he going to be in all? Is he going to go back right to his Jedi ways? Is he going to maybe exhibit like a heightened sense of wisdom now and be like a whole new Force user? Is he going to be more dark side oriented from having to survive on his own and kill stormtroopers all these years that Thrawn was probably sending after him? So to see the approach that we take with Ezra, next episode is going to be extremely intriguing. I'm interested to see where he goes. Balin and Shin are coming, so there's only one lightsaber to go between him and Sabine. What's going to happen? Is he going to take his lightsaber back? Is Sabine going to keep it? And Ezra will use his newfound force ability. So there's just a whole lot of factors that are coming into play that I'm really interested to see where we go with his portrayal as we like progress to the next 2 episodes. What do you think he's gonna be like as a character? Like, do you expect him, to be like a new heightened light side user? Do you expect him to exhibit maybe more dark side tendencies? Is he abandoning the Force as a whole in his 10 years? Has he just given up the Jedi way and just um settled into his life as um a wanderer? Is it what do you think is going on here with him?
So we haven't seen a whole lot in this episode. They just gave us a nice conversation with him, but from what I've seen, he seems just based off his demeanor, he seems like a positive guy. It seems like he's, embracing the light. He's living a simple life with some cute little rock crabs. So I'm willing to say it's not impossible that he, pulls some cool dark side stuff on us, but
Because
from
remember, he's
based
getting
off,
hunted down by Thrawn. We would
sure.
assume, right? We don't know for sure, but we would assume Thrawn has at least done his due diligence in trying to get rid of Ezra, right? So he has had to use a little bit of violence here and there, maybe.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Thrawn's no idiot. He
Yeah,
knows that, like, every single time a stormtrooper and a Jedi have ever been in the same room, a stormtrooper's gonna lose. Doesn't matter
right.
how many
Yeah,
you freaking send. So, and it also makes you wonder, like, how much does Ezra know about everything that's going on the
yes,
planet, you know?
agreed. Because
So,
we have to acknowledge that based off these subliminals that Balin keeps hinting at to us, and even Elsbeth a little bit, when she says that Thrawn was calling to her, we don't know that Thrawn was calling to her, right? That could just be an entity using Thrawn's voice to get through to her, like we've seen with several other characters say that something's calling them. So we have to acknowledge that there is another something like entity at play here. There is something else on the planet.
so my thoughts on that is that Thrawn doesn't seem too surprised that they're there. So I think that could have been Thrawn. But as for Ezra, there's a chance he could be in on everything and he's just trying to escape, you know?
You think he could be like partnered with Thrawn?
For the sake of getting off of the
Yeah, yeah.
planet,
Honestly, not.
maybe, just so he can see his friends again. I mean, if Sabine was willing to make that decision, who's to say that Ezra wouldn't? Even though, I mean, Ezra is significantly more force
Yeah.
balanced than
My only
Sabine.
issue with that is that it's clear how much the Night Sisters hate Jedi, and if he was working together, it seems like he's just so off in the distance, right? Like it just seems like he's settled in with his like nomad people.
Sure.
So I mean, I feel like if they were working together, he might not be like settled in with them, and it does come across as if he's been with them from some time because he's like giving us a little background on his relationship with them.
When he
So
knows the
I don't.
language too. That
Yeah,
can't be
exactly.
easy,
He knows
you
the
know?
languages. They all have little rebel pendants. So I feel like there's other. I don't know if he's um like in tune with them. Maybe they've just reached like a common understanding. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic.
Absolutely.
I mean, I saw some people say that Thrawn just gave up on looking for him because he was scared of Ezra and his abilities.
I think that's entirely possible. I mean, the Thrawn that I would assume we're dealing with now, I mean, would probably err on the side of caution considering
Yeah,
he's trying to
100%.
get out of there. Why would
He's
he
already
risk?
said he doesn't care what
Yeah,
happens to them. So
yeah. I mean, he commands an enormous army. He has a Star Destroyer to himself, and he's going to be, smoking out of here any minute now.
exactly.
So, I mean, he definitely has bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, overall, the next week is going to be very interesting, and we'll get into our predictions soon. In the meantime, I do just want. Do you have any more like general thoughts that you want to give before we do a brief
No, that
recap?
about wraps it up.
Yeah, so just for a brief recap of the episode, we start. We've got Ahsoka in the mouth of the Purgle, her and Hu Ying. They're kind of just talking back and forth. Hu Yang telling about the old stories that he used to tell in the temple, which I personally would have liked to hear on the screen, just kind of curious of what they are. But as soon as he goes to tell Ahsoka about it, well, I don't want to skip over a brief moment. They kind of have a back and forth about Sabine and her like destiny with the Force, and Ahsoka saw stuff that she didn't want to tell Hera. She didn't want to tell Hera that Sabine made the decision to go with them willingly, as opposed to being kidnapped, and it troubles her. Hu Yang says that maybe it was the only decision she has, and after arguing back and forth about that, which I thought was pretty interesting, Ahsoka just opts to hear the story from Hu Yang, and they move on. And then it kind of cuts away from her for the rest of the episode. We get to Peridia, where they arrive. They descend down to the surface, and they speak with the Night Sisters briefly. They're talking back and forth. They take Sabine into captivity, saying it reeks of Jedi. Which, little side note here, I think when they said that, they were talking about Balin. That's just my opinion. I don't think Sabine is strong enough in the Force or the light side to register, on that kind of scale just yet. I don't know. That's just a little side note. But, right, so she gets taken captive. Next thing we know, Thrawn makes his big entrance, and I thought it was the perfect grand entrance. You see his Star Destroyer has been like decked out now. He's got paint on the bottom. There's gold plates mixed in for like repairs, I'm guessing. So he's done a lot of. By the way, I mean, you gotta assume they're mining the planet somewhere or something for the resources to keep a Star Destroyer afloat for 10 years, right? Like, you might need a little help with that. But we see his army of the dead, and they've got the red tape, which like signifies that the Night Sisters have been doing some tinkering. And you just gotta imagine, like, it's hard to keep stormtroopers alive for 10 years, a whole army of them. So I imagine most of these are dead and have been brought back to life.
It's hard to
Um,
keep him alive for one whole scene.
exactly. So you gotta, and like when you hear the voice of like Enoch, it sounds like Marok, who we know was brought back to life. So just little connections like that make me think that all these stormtroopers are probably dead and brought back to life. Thrawn and the Night Sisters talk. Sabine is given like all the information to Ezra. They send her on her way, and then we kind of spend most of the rest of the episode going through that progression of her just fighting off some bandits with her lightsaber, and then talking to some crab people. And the crab people take her down to Ezra, and we finally see Ezra's live action reveal. It's very nice. They have a nice back and forth for a minute, and then the episode kind of ends there before he gets to hear any of the bad news. So it leaves us on a perfect cliffhanger to go into this highly anticipated week. And that's just a brief recap. Of course, you got to go back and watch the whole episode. There's so much in there. It really is a jam packed episode with a lot of good information that I'm assuming that we'll need for the next two episodes. But with that being said, this has probably been the episode that has generated the most fan theories. I've never seen an episode where it's just theory after theory after theory on what's happening with this person, who's getting brought back, who's not, like what's gonna happen, and just nobody seems to know. It's a lot of theories of a lot of, frankly, cool shit that we don't get to see a lot in Star Wars. I can't tell you the last time. We were talking about this earlier, actually. Like the last time we've seen some super cool, like out of pocket shit in Star Wars, like some stuff that we really were not expecting, some out of left field stuff. What did you say was the last time that we'd really gotten anything like that?
It felt like it was Clone Wars or Rebels when we saw some of that wild shit. I mean, they brought some of that in earlier in Ahsoka for the World Between Worlds. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're
Right,
talking
right, yeah,
about,
yeah,
that
yeah. But like
high
pre-Ahsoka series,
concept,
man. I mean,
crazy stuff.
yeah. So, and you're right. The World Between Worlds was definitely crazy with Anakin, but like there's that, and I feel like there's still on one more level that we can really take this to, some like Legends, deep diving into all
That
that good stuff.
Mortis kind of stuff,
That
man, like that
Mortis, and then
stuff.
the freaky legend stuff that's even beyond Mortis. Like there's we still got a couple more levels we can hit in terms of the freaky stuff.
And
Um,
that's what I'm hoping for too.
Me too. Yeah, I
One of
really
my
want to see
favorite
some more.
pieces of Star Wars trivia is to tell people that the original pitch for Episode 7 was about Kylo Ren. Instead of being like what
And the
he
wills,
was,
right?
yeah,
Yep.
he was like this Force artifact hunter looking for Luke Skywalker's severed hand. That kind of wacky shit, dude. That's
And that
what
was
I'm
cool.
all
Like that
about.
would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So hopefully we can get some crazy stuff like that. I mean, I know Dave Filoni knows what he's doing.
he
Hopefully,
does. I trust him
yeah.
100%. I got faith in the man.
And they say that there's no like, Disney hands-on with this. We'll see. My biggest fear is that like, they're saying all that, and we're gonna get into some of the wacky stuff that we've been hearing.
Yeah.
But the things that like we think would be cool, we don't think Disney would let happen.
Right.
And we know they say Dave Filoni has control, but I'm sure that only applies up to a certain extent, you know? And that's the thing, like you can keep Star Wars like kind of casual, but when you put someone like Dave Filoni in charge and give him the reins, you got to just let him go.
Yeah, I agree. And Disney certainly hasn't had their hands on in any like character development. They haven't tinkered with the characters. They really haven't tinkered much with the plot. The only thing I worry about is them kind of setting like a climax barrier, you know? Like the climax can only hit so high, the crazy can only get so high that they kind of like keep it confined. Even if they're not really touching it and they're not affecting it, they are confining it, and that's my worry. I wouldn't say I'm too worried about it though. I think we'll be good regardless. I think we'll get certainly satisfactory, but I am really hoping that we get some next level stuff. And speaking of next level stuff, I want to use that to segue right into our theory segment. So what we'll do here is we'll basically just throw out a bunch of theories that we've been hearing. We'll talk about them, and then we'll kind of rate them 1 to 10 on how realistic they are. Like how much is there a chance that this actually comes to the screen when we watch Ahsoka episode 7 and 8. So it's Jared. I want you to get us started here. Like, what is a good a good theory that you've been hearing that you would like to see, and then like what's the chance that it's real? Like, what's our rating on it?
Man, the ones that we were discussing earlier, that the mouth, I don't remember the name.
Abeloth.
Abeloth, that's
Yeah.
right. So for the fellows in the back who don't know, um, Abeloth is, on Mortis how we have the daughter, the son, and the father, and they're immortal. Abeloth is the mother, so to speak, who wound up there but was mortal, and she ended up, enjoying the two ponds of knowledge and I don't remember the other one, wisdom maybe.
I guess. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and kind of made her nuts. So Sam, I mean, I'm sure you know a little more about this one than I do. You were sending me some of the theories here,
Yeah, only a
but
little bit. Like this was all the first I'd been hearing about all this.
yeah. But apparently, through the episodes, they've been piecing together some information about, you know, could this be what's calling Balin? Is he going to sacrifice Shin to Abeloth? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
possible? I'm not too sure.
I don't know.
On
I didn't think that the sacrifice was gonna happen, but
Yeah,
that it would be an interesting piece. Now that you bring it up, it is more intriguing.
certainly. And that also makes you wonder, how does this fit into everything else? Is Grand Admiral Thrawn involved with Abeloth? What do the Night Sisters have to do with it? I mean, how are these things going to fit together if this is the case for where the show decides to go?
Yeah.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10 for possibility, I give it a 6,
A
slightly
6?
above
That's
average.
pretty high, honestly.
Slightly above average. I mean, it's definitely possible. We've seen that they can get wacky. I mean, they gave us the world between worlds, that kind of stuff. That's what we're looking for here. I mean, they gave us hyperspace whales, dude. They gave us hyperspace
I
whales.
know, those are pretty cool
So,
characters, honestly.
yeah. So, I 6. I
Yeah,
like the
that's a
theory.
really fair rating, honestly.
Yeah, I like the theory, but I just don't know. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't think it will. I think that's the kind of stuff Disney might draw the line on.
Yeah. And I feel like when we look at all these theories, there's three things that we have to take into account that like either provide the realism or they don't line up with the theory. And that is we know that there's some entity out there that's calling to multiple people. You would assume dark side energy. there's some entity on this planet that A, the Night Sisters are scared of, and B is calling out to people. So we know this exists, right? We have to acknowledge that. And then I think another element is that the coffins. What's in these coffins? Does that have anything to do with it? And it's I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like that covers most of it. And then we're just getting hints in the plot. Like, we're just getting in the dialogue them speaking of like greater powers, and they're here for a reason. And the Night Sisters seem so eager to escape. So I feel like we have to take those things into account when discussing like the theories and what's legit and what's realistic, and then what's more far fetched, like what has plot holes in it. But I feel like when we talk about this Abeloth creature, like it does check off the boxes, right? It is calling to people. We do know in the comics that it called to Emperor Palpatine, but he could never quite figure out what it was. And it actually drove him mad. He had stations set up all around the galaxy and could never quite figure out what was calling to him. So we know it calls out to people. We know obviously it's a dark side entity. We know it relates to the Mortis gods because, and we know they're very real. And lastly, like we know that it's something that would scare off the Night Sisters, right? And we know it's something that was definitely banished. So I feel like it does hold a slight bit more realism than some people may acknowledge. But then you're right, and then you also have to take into account like the Disney effect. Is that something they would let on the screen? Is it something they would have to like dumb down greatly to get it on the screen? So all those things I think come into play as well. But I agree. I think I feel like I'd put it right there. A 6.5 out of 10 in terms of the realism.
Yeah. And then the other theory I saw was someone deciphered the data pad on the arm of Balin and
Yeah,
found that they translated to, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2,
and
and
Ben.
and Ben.
And most people just assume Ben Solo instead of Ben Kenobi because obviously he's dead. It doesn't feel like that would make much sense.
So if this theory holds any weight, people either think that Balin's gonna go after, the original trilogy gang to, it's a hit list to kill them. So I don't know about that. I mean, I really hope Balin doesn't actually think he could fight Luke Skywalker and win. But this isn't Legends, Luke, so maybe I'm getting carried away.
Right.
Uh, but the one that I find the most interesting is Ben. If this theory holds any weight, that he would be going after Ben for any reason is interesting. Maybe he wants to like save Luke's little, you know, Jedi operation that we know gets crushed by
Right, or he just
Ben.
knows the Force potential because it's connected to a Skywalker. I mean, we have to remember, Balin knows a lot, right? Like, he knew about Vader when not a lot of people did. So he probably knows that, like, Luke and Leia are related, or in a sense. So any offspring of Leia's would be Force sensitive.
Right. And then the other part of this theory is that he's trying to find the gang so he can thank them because he wasn't a big fan of the
Right, yeah.
Empire, which to me is the weaker
And
half of
why
the
would Ben
theory.
be on that list? Ben didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I don't
So
agree with that.
overall, though, I'm not too sure about this theory. I think it's I think it's just a cute Easter egg.
Me too.
They put the original trilogy guys in there. I think it's Ben Kenobi. Just giving him a
Really?
shout out. Definitely. Just giving the original trilogy, A New Hope fellas a shout out on, his little data pad as a cute detail. I don't really think this one's that big of a deal. I just think, whoever was making his data pad and said, "Hey, we got to put some text on his arm. What are we gonna put?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then somebody in costume design said, "Hey, it'd be cool." I think it's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, I guess I agree. I agree with that second point much more that it's just like a cute Easter egg. I don't think it's a thank you. I think that's really far fetched. And then if there's three things that I'm ranking, I think like in last is that it's just to say thank you. Second would be the cute Easter egg, like you said. And then here's the thing: while it could possibly be a hit list, I don't think he'll ever actually pursue it because I mean I think we're both assuming in one of these two episodes he meets his end one way or another. Um, so I think maybe it is a hit list, but they're just never going to do anything with it. So in terms of like how it would affect this series, I'd say it's a 0. I don't think it has anything to do with this series. Um, I think it is like a future hit list that he'll just never get to pursue. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's either dying or riding off into the sunset because
Yeah.
of the tragic passing of Ray
I mean,
Stevenson.
we all know that they like to do their deep fakes and stuff. So
Hopefully they'll have a little more respect with that this time.
See, here's the thing though. I don't think they deep fake, but I think because it was such an unexpected passing, and because they might have plans for the character, I think a recast is in play. Because it's not like a character that held significant weight like a Princess Leia, when Carrie Fisher tragically passed,
Right.
like where you just maybe do a little deep fake and then send her off into the sunset. I think this is a character who like it didn't hold enough weight, but it does hold importance going forward. Possibly, I don't know how they read this. Maybe he was just meant to get killed off right away, anyways. But if the character has more importance going forward, I think a recast might be in play. I don't know if they'll change the entire trajectory of the story to work around it. Which I don't know which one I prefer. Honestly, I could go both ways. I don't mind if they just rewrite it and send them off. But if they do a recast, I don't think I'd honestly be that opposed to it.
We'll have to see where they go.
Yeah, exactly.
So what kind
But
of theories have you been wanting to discuss?
the big one that I saw, well, we already talked about like the Abeloth and all that. That was definitely the biggest one. But one that I saw today that was really intriguing was when they're exiting the castle when Balin and Shin are riding off to go find Sabine and Ezra. We see Orbesh on the back, and somebody went and to translate you had to flip it upside down and then translate it, and it was I can pull it up because I don't remember it by heart, but I'm looking at it right here, and it says, "Praise Kujet, ruler of all. May his reign." I think it cuts off. It says, "Last forever." Um, and so Kujet is a part of this ancient alien species, and I gotta get like a name for it. I don't know. I'm blanking on the name. Um, it's like starts with a Z, but they're part of an ancient alien race, and it seems like they might have inhabited this planet even before the Dathmiri, and I think there's something in play there. I think that could be what they're raised Kujet. That could be maybe in the coffins they're raising this alien race. So I think that theory holds like a slight amount of weight to me, honestly. Like I think that could be in play. It's nothing too crazy out of bounds. It may not affect the plot at all. So I don't know. I don't know what purpose it would serve. Maybe it's just another army to have on Thrawn's side. Could be interesting. But that was kind of something that caught my eye for sure. And in terms of the realism, the only reason that I give it any real weight is just because we have it right in front of our eyes. Maybe it's an Easter egg. Who knows that they just put this temple out there as a cool Easter egg. But I think because I watched it with my like own eyes, and I saw it on the screen, I give it like a 5.5 to a 6. That this theory holds any weight, and that the Kujet and raising Kujet um could be like where this series goes.
Sure. And after giving the
Dude.
race a look, it seems like that would probably be our first time seeing a live action. Looks like they're called Zephonians, so
Yes,
that'd
yes.
be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and it's just I think there was called Zoophonian sages, and from what I remember, I think they were hinted at in the Jedi Fallen or Jedi Survivor, and was it Fallen Order, right?
Yeah, Fallen
Those
Order and
games,
Survivor.
and I personally did not play them, so I'm not in tune with a lot of that lore. That's probably the only Star Wars I've really missed is the video game aspect of it. But from what I learned, that there was like sages, and I guess they're in tune with the Force. They're one of the first species that colonized the galaxy. Like who knows? Maybe they made their way back and forth. So I guess if they raised those sages from the dead, like, that would be pretty powerful people. They're buried in like specialized tombs around the galaxy, and I just saw people like relating it to real life, like Egyptian tombs. They were buried in pyramids because they expected to be brought back to life. So I was seeing people say that maybe they were buried in pyramids here because they expected to be brought back to life. Um, Obviously, because of the Night Sisters, we know that resurrection is certainly at play. So it was interesting to me. It would definitely be an interesting avenue to take. If you resurrect a Siphonian sage with force abilities, that's certainly a powerful ally. So I don't think I'd be mad at that.
I have to agree. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, that's personally it for me. Like those are the three biggest theories that I saw. Oh, one more thing is that I think it kind of ties into the others, but just the whole Ezra is corrupted by the dark side. It seems to be a common trend, like a common belief. Um, do you think it holds any weight? Like, do you think he's become corrupted at all?
I'm not sure. Maybe he pulled a Mace Windu and, has found like
A
an in
balance.
between,
Yeah.
the nice balance. Because, I
I
mean,
think that's ideal almost. Like in your
yeah,
time of exile to find balance. Like I feel like that's almost the ideal route for him to go.
sure. I mean, it seems like Ahsoka's been doing her best to do that. So to see her and Ezra do it together would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
So I hope he, finds the nice in between spot. That'd be cool.
yeah. I am seeing like a lot of people say that maybe Abeloth has already corrupted him, and this whole thing is a facade. I just don't know what to think of that. I'd like to think he hasn't been corrupted.
It's anyone's game now.
Yeah. But with all that being said, we'll wrap it up here soon. We're just gonna give our predictions for next week. Um, we'll keep it brief because we've already talked about the theories and all that. So Jared, I mean, lay it on me. What are your predictions for next week? If we're talking are realistic, what do we think is gonna happen? Uh, what do you see coming?
So I'm hoping we're gonna get some good interaction between Ahsoka and Thrawn at long last. I mean, it's gonna have to segue into the final section.
Exactly right.
So, but here's the thing: Thrawn's trying to leave. Ahsoka's just getting there, right? So we're gonna have to see how that interacts. If Thrawn even can leave. Do you think Thrawn's going down this season, or do you think
No,
he's
no, because
gonna?
I think the movies with Dave, unless these theories that we're giving, like, oh, and I mean, here's where it starts. We start to get really crazy, and we start to get really away from everything. Is when we talk about these kind of things. So, stay with me here. I feel like the only way that Thrawn could go down this season, right? Because we're all under the assumption that this Dave Filoni movie, like this whole Filoni verse, is meant to have Thrawn as the main villain, right? The whole Heir to the Empire arc, right? So the only way I could see him going down this season and not being a part of the whole Filoniverse thing is if the theories that we're talking about now are true, and there's a whole other darker entity that comes in and steals Thrawn's spot. So Thrawn goes down, but this darker entity creature is what comes out of it. So, I mean, what do you think that has any possibility of happening?
I'll tell you what, I like to see it, but
It'll be interesting. It'll be crazy, but it'll be interesting.
there could be, a world where they both live and they're both, antagonists. I mean, if Grand Admiral Thrawn would do anything, he would probably try to ally himself with a disgusting force creature and then somehow screw over the force creature. So, well, we'll have to see. I really think anything is possible. That's something that I really enjoy about this series is that anything real really can happen, you know? We've seen Anakin, we've seen space whales, we've seen, I mean, Night Sisters making magic and potentially an army of the dead, you know? So, who really knows? I mean, we can try to guess, we can have our theories, but at the end of the day, I mean, the ball's in Filoni's court. So, I'm thinking it's possible he lives, possible he dies. I'm leaning more to the side of him making out, alive and continuing to be a thorn in the side of, us Star Wars fans and the Ahsoka crew. But I mean, for me, I like Thrawn a lot. I mean, and I think his first live action appearance being his last isn't possible for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think his first is gonna be his last. I mean, we'll talk about like our end of the series predictions next week when we uh you know when we do that episode. But like just for now, I mean, it's really an intriguing spot because I almost feel like we're heading towards kind of like a Empire Strikes Back ending where it's like the bad guys win. But not permanently, of course. But for now, like I feel like Thrawn's gonna accomplish what he wants because this can't be the last we see of him. So I feel like he's gonna escape, and just by just by that alone, they win, right? Like that's the whole goal is escape. So if he manages to escape, I feel like he's got to chalk that up as a victory.
Definitely. What do you think is going to happen with Ezra in these next episodes?
See, I don't know. That's what like I mean, I think they're gonna run into Balin and Shin, and that's where we really see what's up. Like, is Ezra corrupted? Is he to the dark side? Has he completely foregone the Force? Has he abandoned it all? Or is he, the same old guy, and he's gonna take Sabine's lightsaber and make it his own again and bring him down? Because I don't, that's gonna be, I think, the most interesting part of this episode is what is Ezra and what role is he gonna play in the next two episodes, and then going forward in this whole Filoniverse.
And I'll tell you what, I would like to watch a 2v1 with Ezra. I mean,
I know that'd be sick.
how
Maybe
cool would
Sabine
that
goes
be?
down and he takes the lightsaber and 2v1.
Yeah. If anyone could do it in this series, it's probably him.
Oh yeah,
You
hundred
know,
percent.
I mean, I love Ahsoka, but canonically, in universe, she's a bit of a bag right now.
Yeah, exactly. She's
She's
a
getting to
punching
that
bag.
age. So,
That's it.
But I'd like to see Ezra, make some moves. That'd be great. I mean, that'd be a strong reintroduction to his character. We'd really get to see what's going on with him. And I feel like we really haven't gotten that many fantastic lightsaber fights,
Yeah, the
just
choreography
recently in
really hasn't
general.
been there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of been like, whatever, like, it looks fine, the lightsabers are connecting and everything,
Yeah,
but doesn't have that kind of energy. Doesn't have that energy.
I agree.
But we'll see.
We will, and I think this episode did a great job of providing us with all the theories and all the basis of our predictions. So I
And
mean,
it's
I'm
given us
really
something to look forward to as well.
exactly. I'm really excited to see in this episode what of our theories gets crossed off, what gets xed out, what gets what new theories get brought up for episode 8 and beyond. So I'm really looking forward to it. Jared, do you have anything you want to say before we wrap it up here?
No, I mean, other than I'm excited to go forward, I'm excited to see what doors episode 7 opens up, if we get new evidence for any of our other theories, or, you know, Ezra has a prequel level Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon type of
Right, like maybe,
beatdown.
oh yeah, maybe that, or maybe they kill Sabine and he harnesses his inner Obi Wan and goes Phantom Menace Obi Wan on them.
We'll have to see, dude. Only time will tell, but it's got me looking forward to it.
I'm excited. I am really excited. Well, with that being said, Jared, thank you so much for coming on as always. Great to have you. Everyone, remember to like, subscribe, comment what you want to see more of on the podcast. Thank you everyone for tuning in as usual. Thank you for the continued support. We've got great videos on the way. With the Ahsoka wrapping up, Jared, it's almost time for our big end of the year special. And boy, am I
Stay
looking forward
tuned.
to that. We're gonna have plenty of fan theories, fanfic, fun debates that are all legends oriented. Nothing, nothing too serious. I'm really looking forward to it. We're gonna get a whole panel on here. That's probably gonna be one of the best videos we've ever done on here. So
We're gonna
shortly
have
after
a
Ahsoka, that'll be
we're
coming
gonna
up.
have a nice section for our.
Our
We're
Lego
not
viewers.
forgetting about you guys.
Nope,
The
we do
niche,
not
hold
forget.
down the fort, Lego Star Wars audience. We hear you all. We know you want some content,
It's
and
coming,
it's coming. We kind of used up the Ahsoka sets earlier in this season of discussion.
but
You
don't worry.
know, we'll take care of you guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Stay tuned. And until next time, we will see you hopefully later this week with our episode 7 recording. And until then, peace out.